Hello and welcome to the News at 10 on NTN News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Nolin Ebel Ame. The headlines. Vice President Kashim Shettima meets the UN Secretary General of our Nigeria Security Council bid and other critical issues.
Partnership for democracy, security in the region, and the VP further emphasized the need for the UN to support Nigeria even more.
After this training section, go back to your desk determined. Be thorough, be relentless, be proud to be part of this transformation.
A new era of intelligence-led policing begins with launch of specialized training program for officers. Heavy flooding, a real possibility across 15 major states' dams spill excess water. Based violence is set to decline as northern religious and traditional leaders collaborate to curb the menace. Vice President Kashim Shettima has met with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the UN headquarters to discuss key issues, including Nigeria's quest for a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council and other matters of mutual interest. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Nigeria at the United Nations building, aspiring to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. The two leaders also held bilateral discussions focusing on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, climate change, collaboration on strengthening democracy in Nigeria, and partnership with the UNDP and regional initiatives for democracy and security also forms part of the meeting.
We're also partnering with the UNDP on a regional partnership for democracy and security in the region, and the VP further emphasized the need for the UN to support Nigeria even more so that we achieve more, and the fact that we are aspiring to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. In fact, it was the Secretary General that commended the Vice President for stressing that in his speech.
Was the SG's comment on artificial intelligence and their hope and expectation that Nigeria will continue to play a significant role there. I think he was extremely happy when we mentioned to him that Nigeria, just a few days ago, released our first multilingual, multimodal large languages, the first one on the African continent that is backed by any government. So that part of the conversation came out true. Even when we were working out, he still mentioned that he would love to see Nigeria also supporting other African countries to make sure that Africa is not left behind in artificial intelligence, that we can actually leverage it properly for development.
The Secretary General also assured us of continuous support to improve our capacity, authenticate our National Social Register, and also bring more funds available to Nigeria for further humanitarian intervention and poverty reduction activities.
Vice President Kashim Shettima also held a bilateral meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, David Lammy. The UK and Nigerian leaders pledged to deepen cooperation in trade, defense and migration.
Kashim Shettima, the Vice President of Nigeria. I relate with nations and organizations on the pedestal of equality.
The Vice President also attended the Global Leadership Council meeting, assuring that Nigeria is poised to leverage opportunities in the digital space to engage youths and empower women and girls.
So tomorrow is pregnant with possibilities. I can assure you all that Africa will rise, and it's already rising. And honestly, we have not governance being poor, honestly. There is a new scramble for Africa. The scramble is for the scarce resources, for the rare minerals that will drive the transformation of the next 20, 30, 40 years.
The macro environment is actually quite attractive.
The Global Leadership Council meeting held at UNICEF headquarters brought together heads of state and other key stakeholders to analyze and co-create and deliver innovative solutions on a global scale. From New York, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And talking security now, Inspector General of Police Kayode Bektokun says the Nigeria Police Force is in a new era of intelligence-led policing with the launch of a specialized training program for officers managing the nation's criminal database. Francis From reports that the IGP described the initiative as a decisive shift from reactive policing to proactive data-driven law enforcement.
The systems.
Without data, there is no memory. Without memory, there is no justice. But with data, there is no hiding place for criminals. IGP Egbetokun declared, stressing the centrality of reliable records in crime fighting. He explained that the reform is part of the federal government's modernization agenda, correcting decades of weak record keeping and fragmented intelligence. With the new system, no case, he assured, will disappear into forgotten archives.
When a trafficker is convicted in Nigeria, the world must know. When a weapon is seized at our borders, its trail must echo across continents. This is the power of database-driven policing. After this training section, go back to your desk determined. Be thorough, be relentless, be proud to be part of this transformation.
As criminal activities evolve, so must our tools and our approach evolve.
The IGP added that integration with Interpol, the AU border program, and UNODC will prevent criminals from escaping justice abroad. The training, he concluded, will produce a new generation of data-skilled officers committed to building a modern and globally respected police force. Francis From NTA News.
In the meantime, Nigeria has reaffirmed commitment to global nuclear disarmament and is advocating for immediate action to commence negotiations on a fissile material cut-off treaty, FMCT. The Minister of Defense, Muhammad Abubakar Badaru, stated this at the first ministerial meeting of the FMCT convened by Japan on the sidelines of the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York, describing the treaty as both a legal necessity and a moral duty. The minister notes that closing the fissile material gap is the most realistic way of stopping an uncontrolled arms race, in addition to rebuilding trust, strengthen the Non-Proliferation Treaty. 69 communities in 15 states have been alerted to possible devastating flooding in the next 2 days. This alert comes as major dams across the country are spilling excess water, causing water levels in waterways to rise. Musa Baba Aliu has details.
This occurs when a dam reaches its full capacity. Spillways are opened to prevent the dam from collapsing. The Goronyo Dam, located in Sokoto State, has a capacity to hold 1 billion cubic meters of water. As the water level rises, authorities have opened the spillways. Excess water could cause flooding in Sokoto, Kebbi, and Niger states. Similar incidents are occurring concurrently at the Jaba and Kainji hydroelectric dams in Niger State. Nearby communities at risk of flooding, including Kainji Town, Patigi, Nibusa, Borgu, Mokwa, and other communities along River Niger in Niger and Kwara states. Reports also confirmed that the Shiroro and Zingeru dams are releasing excess water due to heavy rainfall in the area. To this end, 15 states and 69 communities have been put on alert as rainfall intensifies across the country. This information is contained in a statement from the Ministry of Environment's National Flood Early Warning Center. The advisory lists Adamawa, Anambra, Bayelsa, Borno, Delta, Edo, Imo, Kano, Katsina, Ondo, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, and Zamfara State as the risk states. Residents, local governments, and emergency response teams are advised to remain vigilant and implement precautionary measures. The ministry emphasized that this alert is part of its ongoing early warning system to reduce risk during the peak rainy season. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And talking health now, the federal government has declared war on rabies as part of efforts to meet the global deadline of ending the disease by 2030. This was revealed by the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, at the interministerial press briefing to mark World Rabies Day 2025. Yusuf Jika reports.
Rabies is a deadly viral disease that affects the nervous system of mammals and humans, usually transmitted through the bite of an infected animal such as dogs, cats, birds, and other wildlife. To commemorate the gravity of this dreaded disease is the reason for this assemblage of experts to foster collaborations that align with global efforts to eradicate the disease.
So rabies is preventable. So that is really, we are aware. So vaccines available, either dog or human, it is available. So how we will use it, how we will.
There's need for zoo curators to pay attention and adopt all the necessary health preventers.
To continue to spread awareness, engaging relevant stakeholders, and see how they can support the ongoing efforts of the government.
Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, said Nigeria is moving fast to end rabies as government will procure 7,000 doses of anti-rabies vaccine for mass dog vaccination and 700 doses of pre-exposure vaccine for animal health workers, among other measures put in place.
The time to act is now. Delaying means more lives lost. Lives of our children, farmers, friends, colleagues, and loved ones.
The World Rabies Day is slated for 28th of September, and the theme of this year's celebration is Act Now, Me, You, and the Community. In Abuja, Yusuf Jika, NTA News.
If Nigerians can imbibe values and skills of psychological counseling into homes, classrooms, workplaces, and worship centers, every space will become a space for healing, self-awareness, emotional regulation, and empathy. This was the thrust of the 37th inaugural lecture of the National Open University of Nigeria, delivered by Professor Fidel Onjefo Olopi. The lecture focused on the topic From Heart to Heart, Psychological Counseling into Daily Life to Build a Harmonious Nigeria. The lecturer believes that when self-counseling and psychological growth move beyond therapy rooms into daily life, schools, and communities, the result will be transformation.
Part to the national healing begins with each one of us. Counseling at home, a way of living. Home, first place of learning, care. The growth of one person becomes the upliftment of many.
He made a remark about one of the nuances of Nigerians. He said, "Do you know who I am?" Because until you know who truly you are, will you be able to engage in the ethical counseling that he has rightly told us.
The lecture asserts that when those skills are extended to families, schools, and communities, even without a trained counselor, people will be empowered to support one another, build resilience, and promote mental well-being in everyday life. You are still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. Let's stop here for a break.
Feel the power of precision, engineered to perfection. Every component is crafted with care, and each design is meticulously tested. From concept to creation, our engineers push the boundaries of technology, seamlessly blending performance and sustainability with a deep commitment to African ingenuity. Introducing the CNG Boss, a remarkable achievement in engineering designed to operate on compressed natural gas, a cleaner and more sustainable fuel alternative. At Innocent Vehicles, we proudly lead the way in creating greener mobility across Africa. And it doesn't stop there. From SUVs to sedans, spacious buses to electric cars, Innocent offers a wide range of models designed to meet every need. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African roads.
Nigeria at 65, a continental giant takes another step forward, navigating the contradiction fueled by a colorful and resourcefully diverse populace, yet questions linger on the destination of state, propelled by the vagaries of nationhood. What is your contribution to this journey? Join the NTA and an eclectic mix of everything Nigerian, from the academic stains to the street kings, who will lend their voices on the platform that has always been a part of the journey. The NTA on October 1st, 2025.
Thank you for being with us. I'm still talking education. Nigeria's foremost leadership training school, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, has commenced processes to reform its flagship senior executive course for maximum impact. This is the reason stakeholders converged on a conference in Abuja to review the program's content, nomination process and funding, all aimed at producing leaders ready to tackle today's complex national challenges. Ekene Ndulue reports.
The Senior Executive Course of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies is one of Nigeria's most prestigious leadership and policy programs. For decades, it has shaped decision makers across government, security, and the private sector. Now, the Institute is reviewing the course to align with today's realities. This conference brought together representatives from nominating institutions to re-examine key areas, from admission criteria and course content to organization and funding.
We want to move ourselves forward, both in terms of structure, content, and nomination, and even funding. That is one. Secondly is that we want our stakeholders to be on the same page with us.
After their group sessions, participants proposed fresh ideas to strengthen the program and make it more relevant to emerging challenges.
We therefore recommended that there is a need to reduce participant number to 10 per syndicate for more effective group dynamics and outcomes.
Increase federal allocation through lobbying, establish endowment fund supported by alumni and corporate partners.
Then we now also said that nominating agencies shall face a 2-year sanction if they submit unqualified candidates.
As deliberations end, NIPS is confident that the reforms will produce a new class of leaders better equipped to solve complex organizational problems and drive national development. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
In other news, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has received accolades for her role in the efforts to complete the long-stalled National Library building in Abuja under the Oluremi at 65 Education Trust Fund. The commendation came at the 5th National Conference on Reading, organized by the network of book clubs and reading culture promoters in Nigeria. Garbanata Natala reports.
Abuja was selected as the 2025 National Book Club City, a destination that involves a concentrated series of reading activities. At this conference, academics, book lovers, and advocates rallied to champion reading, their goal to proffer solutions to the dwindling reading culture among Nigerians, particularly the youths, while promoting books as a powerful tool for national unity.
As a nation, we have an education policy that insists that all schools must have libraries. But unfortunately, how many of these schools have libraries today? Those libraries are dying.
The theme for this year's conference is Reading, a Unifying Factor. Organizers say the choice is deliberate for a nation grappling with various challenges.
To build the reading culture in a country like ours, we need to work with multiple stakeholders, librarians, authors, publishers.
Speakers urged Nigerians to change the negative narrative by leveraging technologies such as using e-books.
This land of hope, this land of life, in peace and unity we are taught with God. My future is in my book. How can I get my future?
In the world of books, new pages are found, and this sentiment was brought to life as students demonstrated their prolific writing skills here, encouraging reading and being recognized for their outstanding work.
This is someone like me that has a passion for reading now. You should always follow the passion for reading, learn to explore, and if there's some words you don't understand, you can check them on your dictionary.
For a broader national literacy, the hope is that the discussions here will translate into concrete actions so that more books get into the hands of Nigerians, young and old. In Abuja, Garba Muhammad Natala, NTA News.
Thank you, Natala. The National Commission for Persons with Disabilities has unveiled 3 key certificates aimed at driving the full implementation of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2023 and the Persons with Disabilities Accessibility Regulations 2023, alongside its prescribed guidelines. Gufan Shaji Ugwai reports.
At the presentation of the certificates, the Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Ayuba Kufuwan, says these legal instruments provide a framework for ensuring accessibility across critical sectors such as public buildings, transportation and information technology.
The certificates will promote compliance, encourage organizations to adhere to accessibility standards, ensure equal access to goods and services, and enhance accountability, hold organizations accountable for providing accessible environments, products, and services, and then, of course, foster inclusion.
The essence of these certificates, as we get to know today, is to ensure total compliance with the provisions of the Act, which will in effect engender development and inclusion in our country.
And we are giving our best as partners to support that the rights of persons with disability in Nigeria are not played upon.
The initiative is also expected to generate revenue for both the Commission and the federal government, providing a sustainable mechanism for funding disability-inclusive initiatives nationwide. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwai, NTA News.
From Abuja, we take you to Kogi, where the state governor, Ahmed Usman Ododo, is calling on stakeholders to support his ongoing efforts to address environmental challenges facing the state. The governor, represented by the State Commissioner for Environment, made the call while addressing stakeholders at a sensitization engagement on environment in Lokoja. Jonathan Omajeli reports.
Stakeholders from the Ministry of Environment, Water Resources, Agriculture, the State Emergency Management Agency, community leaders and farmers in Kogi State converged to deliberate on ways of tackling climate-related challenges through the World Bank-supported Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes project, ACRISAL. The state government has made giant strides in tackling ecological challenges. This sensitization engagement is aimed at helping stakeholders and partners to have a better understanding of the activities and core principles of the project. Discussions center on environmental sustainability, smart agriculture, government support programs for farmers, strategies to address environmental threats across the state, and the role of stakeholders in project implementation. Representing Governor Ahmed Usman Odudu, the Commissioner for Environment and Ecological Management, Joseph Oluwasegun, says the present administration is investing heavily through the ACRISAL project to fight climate challenges. He stresses that the meeting will help strengthen collaboration among stakeholders and benefiting communities.
Because of flood, every year we experience loss of lives. Some people that are farming very close to this degraded land, they can no longer go to farm because the land has been degraded. So putting it in place, reclaiming them, is giving them another chance.
At a time like this, we must not derail in our focus. That is why the stakeholders supposed to be brought together as we are doing now.
The state project coordinator represented notes that ACRISAL, through different initiatives, has supported agri-businesses across communities in the state. In Lokoja, Jonathan Omajali, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the growing trend of gender-based violence is about to witness a decline as northern religious and traditional leaders are joining forces to combat the menace. This was at a stakeholders' dialogue in Abuja to profile Islamic perspectives in preventive measures. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim reports.
1 in 3 women are said to experience a form of violence, a threat that knows no region or religion. But this is about to change for the better with the involvement of religious and traditional leaders from the north.
Islamic religion has general and specific texts prohibiting violence. The general texts call on every person to respect others, treat them kindly, and even respond to abuse with kindness.
For over 2 decades, the Development Research and Projects Center, a faith-based group, and partners have been pushing for social transformation in northern societies through dialogues like this.
It is a story about how traditional authority and faith leadership, when equipped with the right tools, knowledge, and dialogue, can become a powerful force for social change.
If this could be thoroughly employed in the daily activities of Muslims, then there shall be less GBV and possibly GBV-free society.
With this information, then they will be able to relay this to their community, because we all know that the religious leaders, they are very influential in their community.
At the end of this dialogue, Muslim opinion leaders are expected to take the message of women's rights, maternal health, and gender equality to places of worship and community across northern Nigeria. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
You're still watching the news on NTA News 24. We'll take our second break now.
Let's have credible elections at the local government so that these credible people can manage the funds of local government properly.
There are a lot of respected traditional rulers in the state who can say, look, enough of this thing. Mr. Governor, welcome. Thank you for coming. When you win, what will you do?
I was the first woman that mobilized women within the local government to form the National Council of Women Society, by creating awareness in women that they must serve, they must be part of what is happening within their community.
If you stop expenditure on infrastructure, how do you now attract investments?
The state governors, the presidency, that the federal government and the local government are all waiting for revenue from crude oil. Every state has something peculiar. So the emphasis now, if your local government has something peculiar to that particular local government, the emphasis should be keep producing that particular product.
We need to do three things. Prevent the ability of the terrorist groups to generate funding, their ability to recruit, and then their ability to access weapons.
The traditional ruler gives me a title. I sit in the front row in the church, or if I'm going to mosque and I'm calling people are passing in God's own house. What am I doing? I'm mentoring a new generation who think that the only way to be taken seriously is to be seen to have a lot of money.
Good Morning Nigeria, live every weekday between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on the network service of the NTA.
Thank you for being there. INEC has held a strategic meeting in preparation for the forthcoming Anambra State governorship election, the area council election in the Federal Capital Territory FCT, and the conduct of party primaries for the Ekiti and Osun State governorship elections. The meeting, presided over by the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, also approved the 2025 promotion of 471 deserving junior staff of the Commission on the recommendation of the Appointment, Promotion and Disciplinary Committee in line with the staff conditions of service. INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, at the meeting assures the people of Anambra State of a transparent exercise. Now, 32 kidnapped victims have been rescued in the last 14 days by the Nigerian Armed Forces in ongoing operations across the country. The Director Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kange, stated this at the Defense Headquarters, Abuja, during the bi-weekly updates on military operations. During the period under review, 63 terrorists were arrested, 16 illegal refining sites recovered and deactivated, while 19 oil thieves apprehended.
To secure the nation. The Defense Headquarters commend the bravery and professionalism of the troops involved in all operations and assures Nigerians of its continued effort to ensure the safety and security of our citizens.
Several caches of arms were recovered and criminal camps destroyed. On safety, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, is partnering with Dangote Cement Transport to work on ways of reducing the continuous road traffic crashes involving articulated vehicles, particularly those linked to Dangote Group. This was after a meeting held at the national headquarters of the Corps in Abuja, which centered on practical solutions to address safety challenges associated with flood operations and to foster responsible transportation practices within the Dangote transport system. They both agreed to develop structure, training and retraining programs for Dangote Cement Transport drivers aligned with the National Skills Qualification Framework to improve competence and professionalism, as well as enforce strict compliance to vehicle maintenance schedules and ensure the installation of critical safety devices in Dangote trucks to minimize mechanical failures that often contribute to crashes. They as well extolled an urgent need to design joint programs that will not only curb crashes involving Dangote trucks, but also set a benchmark for other fleet operators across the country. The National Union of Electricity Employees under the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has suspended its strike following the intervention of the federal government. The truce was reached at an emergency meeting convened by the Minister of Power and officials of the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment and the management of TCN, the Nigerian Independent System Operator, NISO. The National Union of Electricity Employees, NUE, and the Senior Staff Association of Electricity and Allied Companies. After hours of meeting, all sides agreed to key resolutions that paved the way for the suspension of the industrial action. The unions accept the minister's appeal to review the report of a standing committee by October 6 to 7, 2025 for implementation to begin later in the same month. Also, TCN and NISO will jointly evaluate the financial implications of the committee's report and prepare an implementation plan for presentation to the Minister of Power and the unions. In addition, both unions and management are expected to reconvene in another meeting to resolve outstanding issues. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is also directed to expedite its review of tariffs to enable a smooth implementation of the agreement. Governor Basi Otu of Cross River State is pursuing strategic measures to boost food security, reduce youth unrest, and uplift livelihoods targeted at addressing multidimensional poverty. This is evident in the disbursement of 800 million naira in startup funds to young agribusiness entrepreneurs. Justina Etem reports.
Youths are known for possessing energy and creativity, which is crucial for driving economic growth. To channel this potential into productive endeavors, Governor Basi Otu has disbursed 2 million naira each to 400 youths comprising 200 ex-Bakassi Defense Force members and 200 young farmers. According to Governor Otu, this initiative aims to foster meaningful contributions to economic growth.
With the relevant skill sets of the trainees, they are positioned to apply the grant judiciously in agri-related ventures of their choice. This will be done with a touch of professionalism and with the hope of training others and other areas of specialization. My administration is reputed to be very youth-friendly, both in appointive and elective positions.
My ministry has carefully set aside some money, senatorial district by senatorial district, and equally put in place committees to monitor the implementation and or investment of this empowerment grant by our government. Responsive investors will enjoy further drawdown of funds to improve their businesses.
The beneficiaries had undergone intensive training on innovative and integrated agricultural value chains, equipping them with transformative skills for self-reliance. Beneficiaries attest to the positive outcomes of this empowerment.
This exposure has equipped us the skills, knowledge, and confidence needed to uplift our families and make meaningful contributions to our dear state.
We promise you, my governor, that we are changed and promise you we will not go back to our past.
The empowerment program is expected to enhance the reintegration of ex-agitators, promote agricultural ventures, and boost food sufficiency. In Calabar, Justina Etem, NTA News.
In other news, Nigeria's e-commerce sector has witnessed exponential growth in recent years, but this hasn't been without a downside, and most notable will be online vendor scams or catfishing, which has seen unsuspecting shoppers lose money in large sums. Daniel Aderi in this special report delves into the intricacies of online catfishing and how it can be avoided.
There was a time in this country where it was considered crazy to buy or sell online, because why would you want to buy or sell from anyone or anywhere that you literally don't even know exists? But fast forward to 2025, and over $10 billion has been generated from the e-commerce sector, and is projected to rise as high as $25 billion by the year 2030. Now, all of this seems laudable and great, But there's a real grey area beneath all of this, and that is cyber fraud, or like we like to call it in our local parlance, 419. For social media, it is catfishing, and it has been the bane of development in the e-commerce sector till date. But the real question is, how do you fight an enemy that sometimes leaves no footprint and also can be very invincible?
It is very important, it is very key that whatever online store that you visit or online vendor that you visit, they have that HTTPS as a sign of SSL certificate, trusted one, that can protect your communication while interacting with that website. It means that if you are trying to pay with your credit card, or you're trying to enter some information that are very personal to you, personally identifiable information, it is going to be sent over the internet in plain text. It will not be encrypted, right? And that could give easy access to hackers and fraudsters to, intercept that communication between you, the client, and the server that actually provides that web page resources.
Faintola is a regular online shopper who says shopping online is a whole lot easier and cheaper to do. However, it hasn't come without some bad experiences.
She suggested that I also send money for delivery, and I was like, no, I insisted. Let me just pay for the delivery when it gets here. She was like, these drivers won't collect your package if you don't send the money for delivery. I sent the money for delivery. She said delivery takes about 5 to 7 days. So 4 days later, I texted her so I could track my package. She had already blocked me.
Probe about them. Be sure you ask questions. If they have a social media presence, go through their entire social media. Find comment section. If they are people that are like, you will see it in the comment section. The best thing is if they have a TikTok account, go to their TikTok account. Go to the comment section. If there are scammers, you would know.
But even with order tracking, order returns, and even refunds, there are a few Nigerians who do not subscribe to shopping online.
Do you know that people build trust online than physical? Because you meet someone online and he give you prescription of where he is, you went there and saw a product, you will give him a trust.
There is so many insecurity concerning online. You get so many have been scammed before. You get 10,000 naira gone. So presently now, Nigerians today, if you say shopping online, I don't do it anymore.
I prefer the both. I do the both. Mostly I'm very busy, so I buy online as well.
Most of the time, if you buy online shop, if you reach, you notice that's not what you buy. What you expected is what you see. You see that what you bought is just a scam.
Well, one thing remains certain, and it's the fact that there will always be those who prefer regular market stalls over online market stalls. However, one thing should be taken into consideration, and it's the fact that if you must do a transaction online or in person, make sure to do due diligence checks of your clients and customers, because anyone, just anyone, including myself, could possibly be catfished.
In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NT News.
Sure, Daniel. Now, globally, there is a noticeable trend of countries placing restrictions or an outright ban on TikTok, a social media platform. In this special report, Toiba Anifowoshe examines the views of young Nigerians about the digital platform. All right, this story will come in our subsequent bulletin. Let's take sports news now.
Nigeria's Flying Eagles on Friday arrived at the city of Talca ahead of their participation at the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. The players and their officials were received by FIFA officials and members of the local organizing committee. The 7-time African champions are lodged at the Hotel Diego de Almagro in Talca. Ali Zubeiru's side wrapped up a 12-day training camp in Santiago, where they played host nation Chile and Australia as part of the build-up to the competition. The Flying Eagles were held to a 1-0 draw by Chile, while they defeated Australia 3-1. They are drawn in Group F with Norway, Colombia and Saudi Arabia. The West Africans will open their campaign against Norway at the Estadio Fiscal do Talca next week, Monday. Meanwhile, Tobi Amusan has climbed to third place in the latest World Athletics 100 meters hurdles rankings, making her Nigeria's highest-ranked athlete following her silver medal at the World Championships in Tokyo. The 28-year-old, who is the world record holder, rose from 9th place to 3rd after scoring 1,430 points, moving in behind United States' Grace Stock, who tops the rankings, and newly crowned world champion Ditaji Kambunji of Switzerland, who sits 2nd. Amusan also made a major leap in the overall women's rankings, rising 40 places from 68th to 28th. She is currently the only Nigerian woman inside the global top 100 after Favor Ofili, who previously featured, then dropped out following her switch of allegiance to Turkey and absence from the championships.
This is the news at 10 on NTN News 24. Here is a recap of our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima meets UN Secretary General over Nigeria's Security Council bid and other critical issues.
Partnership for democracy, security in the region, and the VP further emphasized the need for the UN to support Nigeria even more.
After this training section, go back to your desk determined. Be thorough, be relentless, be proud to be part of this transformation.
A new era of intelligence-led policing begins with launch of specialized training program for officers. Heavy flooding, a real possibility across 15 major states' dams spill excess water. Gender-based violence set to decline as northern religious and traditional leaders collaborate to curb the menace.
This is NTA News 24.
President Bola Tinubu has sent warm congratulations to the Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Engineer Gbenga Komolafe, on his 62nd birthday. In a statement, the president praised Engineer Komolafe for his pivotal role in ramping up the nation's oil production and increasing revenue. The president acknowledged the commission's achievements under Komolafe, including reducing gas flaring and rolling out transformative regulations under the Petroleum Industry Act. President Tinubu commended the engineer's 35 years of service, characterized by innovation and excellent service to the nation. Okay, I'm told the special report on TikTok is ready. Let's take it now.
TikTok is a social media platform, a product of the Chinese company ByteDance. It's interesting to note that TikTok isn't officially available in the domestic market of China. In the United States, a full ban hasn't currently materialized, but there is a form of restriction. Other countries like Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Denmark, India, and many others have either placed an outright ban or a level of restriction due to concerns about data privacy, national security, and the potential for promoting harmful content. In Nigeria, there has been concerns about TikTok promoting immoral content, fake news, and manipulative algorithms. In fact, I also had to delete the app because it was promoting content I never set for. And for me, it felt like a violation of my digital space. But these young Nigerians have mixed reactions.
Also, currently, people are lonely, and the only means that they get to connect with other people through their phones. And TikTok is one of the apps where people tend to relate with people, try to watch videos to cool their minds, and then keep moving.
Banning it completely might really affect some people's business.
if the government wants to intervene, they should set like strict laws. If parents want to intervene, they should be very mindful of what their kids watch. If us as individuals want to intervene, we should manage our screen time very well.
It's better to make it, to set some little boundaries, set limits, and even make it a safer place for the Gen Zs.
Many agree that TikTok is entertaining, but it is also influential. And as more countries push back, industry players believe that Nigeria will have to choose to regulate, restrict, or ignore. In Abuja, Toyiba Anifoshi, NTA News.
Now, from research, Nigeria's population of over 220 million, with a growth rate of 2.5% per annum, requires about 550,000 units in the next 10 years to meet the housing deficit. This will require about 5.5 trillion naira every year to fix. In this special report, housing correspondent Francis Udojo takes a look at the deliberate efforts being taken by the federal government to meet the housing needs of Nigerians.
Shelter is an important part of human needs. However, the concern is that many in developing countries, including Nigeria, do not have the financial muscle to afford a decent home. This is coupled with decades of limited access to affordable financing and home ownership opportunities for majority of Nigerians. In view of this, the President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope housing program in the last 2 years have shown deliberate effort through actionable policies in reducing the country's estimated 28 million housing deficit. This initiative is being implemented by the Minister of Housing, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa. The Renewed Hope housing plan is characterized into 3 categories. First is the Renewed Hope cities, designed to have at least 1,000 housing units each in major urban centers. Secondly, the Renewed Hope estates of 250 housing units in every state capital, designed for middle-income Nigerians, while the Renewed Hope social housing estates is to deliver 100 affordable homes in each of the Nigeria's 774 local government areas, targeting the most vulnerable Nigerians.
The political will of my president, he has given us all the political will. Once he appoints you as a minister, he ensures that he put you at the right place where you could perform. So once you have that political will, there's nothing you cannot do for you.
We have been well funded towards achieving these mandates, and we have these projects ongoing all over the country.
Data from the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics indicates that policies made within 2 years of President Tinubu's administration moved real estate sector from top 5 to top 3 largest sector, where the real estate industries are the largest employers of labor and economic drivers. The ministry made public-private partnerships, PPPs, key to implementing large-scale affordable housing and urban development interventions. Under the PPP framework arrangement, the ministry is working towards delivering 100,000 units with consortium of developers. Under Phase 1, the ministry aimed at delivering 7 Renewed Hope cities, targeting the FCT, Lagos, Kano, Maiduguri, Enugu, Port Harcourt, and Nasarawa. Construction is already in progress with close to 12,000 housing units underway. In the FCT, 3,112 units, Lagos, 2,000 units, and Kano, 2,000 units, among others.
In housing, we realize that you cannot rely solely on the budgetary allocation. If that's the hit, that is the hit, you know. There is constraint to what the government can fund for you. But there is a PPP, public-private partnerships, to which we have collaborated to ensure that we upscale the performance of PPP to ensure that we work together.
In my state, he said 500 units should be started in Kano State.
maybe because of our population and the importance to Mr. President. So Kamwe people, we need to appreciate him.
So one of the things that we have seen under the present administration of the current president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is his pragmatic approach to see how private sector can drive economic growth.
The housing types include apartment buildings with 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, as well as terraces, duplexes, and bungalows with housing portal made available for off-takers.
Those houses are organic in nature, so that if you can't afford 3 bedrooms, please pick the 2 bedrooms. And then you manage up to a certain time when you can afford to add another 1 bedroom by constructing 2 walls and roofing it. Then it becomes a 3 bedrooms. This is one way we are doing, and we ensure that even access to the houses are made easy and accessible for Nigerians.
In terms of budgetary allocation, the federal government appropriated the sum of 126.5 billion naira being part of the 2023 budget and the 2024 supplementary budget for the housing project. Meanwhile, the National Assembly secured an additional 50 billion naira for the ministry's 2025 budget, with achievements also being recorded in national land administration and tilting, reforms in land administration to simplify property ownership, and commitment to establishing a real estate regulatory authority, as well as building materials manufacturing hubs. Government say housing deficit would be greatly reduced in the country soon. Francis Udojo, NT News.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NT News 24. I am Nolene Ebel-Ame. Thank you for watching, and see you at the top of the hour for the news updates.
The morning news. The federal government is